of us, we are aspiring to see. But also, it didn't go as bad as it was expected. And we know that there are a lot of challenges over there. Now we need, when we look at it from our understanding, that there are some of the Afghan leaders who are trying to, to put this agenda forward with all these restrictions. But there is also another camp within Afghanistan who wants to see Afghanistan opening up with the world and having a better relation with everyone around them. And I believe that what will prevail at the end, the ones who wants to build a state that has a normal relationship with the international community. And basically, the efforts to change this situation in Afghanistan should be carried out by the international community in a way, in an incentivizing way, instead of penalizing way. Our approach is, instead of saying that because you are doing that, I'm going to sanction you, should be the opposite when it comes to Afghanistan. If you are going to do this, I'm going to reward you by that. So I think that this mindset needs to be changed by the international community. Then we can get maybe Afghanistan in the right track.
We have a virtual question that we can take, and then okay, let's take one more from the room here. This gentleman right here.
Your Excellency, my name is Andrew Gunlock. I'm the CEO of Blais Schroeder. I have an easy question for you. You come to the city of New York on the eve of electing our first ever Muslim mayor. It is also...
Is it tonight? I don't know.
No. On the, okay. Not the actual eve. A week away.
Okay.
It's not a surprise. He's run an absolutely great campaign. And the Muslim population in New York, mostly Bangladeshi and Pakistani, has doubled over the past 30 years. The Jewish population is flat. It has brought presidential attention. It has brought in claims of funding of the Muslim Brotherhood, of Qatar. But it is the most important Jewish city in the world. And it's also a merchant city, not unlike Dubai or Doha, where the merchant class has always run the city from its founding. And we're looking for governance from the center. At least all the great mayors have been from the center. So I'm curious what it means for you as a Muslim, as an important mediating country, to have the most important city in the world with the biggest press run by a Muslim. And if he were here with us today, what would you be asking from him to help bring peace to your region and to the conflicts where he can bring attention that no other mayor, no other city can?
Well, I think for me as a state, it doesn't make any difference who will be elected to be a mayor of New York or of any other city. I'm sorry to say that but people are unfortunately became very obsessed that Qatar is trying to project influence everywhere and trying to fund this and that, and they are the ones behind him because he's Muslim. And I think that we just need to take a step back and think about it. What would be Qatar's interest in doing such a thing? I mean, my interest is to build a strong relationship with the United States. I have a strong economic partnership with them. I have a strong security partnership with them, and in defense, I have a strong energy partnership with them. So this combination of partnerships that has multiple sectors, I need to safeguard and to protect it. That's my whole focus, is how to protect the relation between Qatar and the United States, because the United States matters to me as a country, and I matter for the United States as I'm hosting their largest airbase. When it comes to the energy sector, we are like the two biggest suppliers in the world for LNG, and the election of New York and all those claims, unfortunately, it's for me, I love New York as a city. Whoever is the mayor, I mean, it's the American people choice. It's
the traffic could get better one way or the other. That could impact you.
That's maybe the only thing what I will be happy about. Other than that, I have honestly I have no idea, no relation with any one of them, with any of the candidates actually.
This gentleman right here.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Bob Diamond, I was the former chief executive of Barclays, and one comment and one question. The comment is just to say that when we look back at the financial crisis in 2008, people generally point to Warren Buffett as being a brilliant investor when he invested in Goldman Sachs and Bank of America. And most people don't realize that it was the Qatar Investment Authority in Qatar that put £6 billion into Barclays, allowed us to buy Lehman Brothers' U.S. business at a very attractive rate. I personally know the return you got on that. I won't announce that right now. But I do want to say that of all the things that Qatar has done, they don't get the credit they deserve for Qatar Investment Authority being the astute investor they are. Apropos of that and apropos of banking, the question I have for you, Your Excellency, is given your ties to the U.S. and the dollar, do you have any worries about the role of the dollar as the reserve currency?
No, actually, look, we have a lot of confidence in the U.S. economy. That's for us. It's a fact. It's U.S. today is dominating the world economy, and to be like for our currency to be back to the dollar, it's because it is a stable currency, and our main production is the oil, which is dollarized. Now, to have an alternative, this always should be any state plan B, to have an alternative reserve of gold and other currencies. But for us, I think that even with the current circumstances, the U.S. economy is resilient and will just, we'll get through this period and we'll move on.
Actually, let's take one virtual question, then I'll come back to you. Sorry, virtual question.
We'll take our next question from Nick Schifrin.
Hi there. Sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me this time. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much. I want to go back to where you guys began this conversation and where I'm started. So just to put a point on what happened over the last 24 hours, the Americans have made it clear to the Israelis that they want Israel to respond to any Hamas violation within reason. And so can you judge Israel's response to Hamas's violation? Palestinians are saying only more than 100 people were killed in these airstrikes. And just in general, can you give us an insight into how you spoke to, or how the mediator spoke with Hamas yesterday to try and ensure that the single violation from yesterday did not continue into today? Thanks.
Thank you. Well, look, I think if you look at it from an outsider perspective, it's at the end who started the violations and who then the response will be like a reaction to this violation. Yes, yesterday the situation was complex and there was a violation that by a Palestinian group. Now we heard also conflicting statements from Hamas itself that we need the clarifications and we need an answer from them on that. That's some statements mentioning that this group is they lost communication with and they don't know what they are doing, and other response from them that what happened is by a group which are not related to them. It doesn't matter for us who did what. What matters to us that how we make sure that we safeguard the agreement. We make sure that this event or this occasion doesn't affect or make this agreement collapse, and making sure that we are back on track. And us and the U.S. and Egypt and Turkey, all of us, we were focused on that direction only.
We'll go back here. This lady right here.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Camille Massey with Synergos. Would you be able to take us into some of those quiet rooms under the radar where these mediations happen? We live in a world with such a trust deficit that see the role that you're playing and that your team are playing in so many conflicts in the world gives hope. It would be interesting just to hear you talk about the attributes you seek and for members of your team and what some of the lessons you've learned with this responsibility that emanates from the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, look, we try to handle every mediation differently. First of all, we need to have a clear understanding on both parties and their requirements, their dynamics, and what they are able to do and what they are not able to do, and have a full understanding of that and trying to provide solutions and bridge the gaps between them. That's basically our role when it comes to mediation. Now, the nature of the mediation and the way the mediation is conducted is different. You have a situation where, like, for example, in the negotiations between US and Taliban, it was a direct negotiations between the two parties, and Qatar was facilitating between them, making sure that every gap is bridged, making sure that whenever the talks collapse, that we bring them back together and we put them back on track. But if you talk about, for example, Israel and Hamas negotiations, they never been in the same room across each other from the table and talking to each other. And this is making our life very more challenging and more difficult because we are the messengers between both, and we are trying to present solutions genuinely thinking about it as a solution that satisfies both parties. So when I'm wearing the hat of the mediator, I don't look at what will be like my interest as a country. I look at the interest of the parties. I look at the interest of the region that where the conflict is, and I put that ahead of any other interest. And this is how we build it. And look, if you will ask me, like, what is distinguishing our mediation and why people are reaching out to Qatar, I think number one is trust, and the trust that we have built through friendships around the world has, of course, boosted Qatar in that role, and also the transparency that we are dealing with. We are not trying to convey like wrong messages between the parties, between the parties to achieve success. But we are trying to be very clear with them and proposing for them solutions that's adaptable by both parties. And that's how we work. I just give you an example on the recent, like the event of Gaza. Throughout the ceasefires that we had, in many occasions we were talking to both parties, taking their concerns in consideration, and also like our position, for example, that with Israel is not the best position, because for us they are still occupying an Arab land, and they are not giving the Palestinians their right. But we never dealt with them in an unfair way. We've been always listening to them, understanding, and trying to put ourselves in their shoes, and also proposing solutions that are adoptable by them. They can do it, not proposing for them impossible solutions. And carrying this with you as a genuine mediator, I think this is what distinguishes Qatar from the others. We try not to like mask things and sugarcoat them in order to appear nice, and then when we reach to the final stage of the agreement, everything collapses. Or even sometimes when we reach the agreement ceremony, we celebrate today and the next day everything collapses. So I think our main focus is how to ensure that our credibility and the trust that we have built never be affected.
Has there been a mediation effort somebody asked you to do that you said, I'm not touching this, we don't want to be involved in this one?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to tell us who it is?
No, I cannot disclose that.
I thought I would try. We have one more virtual question.
We'll take our next question from Jane Harmon.
Thank you and good morning. Let me thank the government of Qatar again for your enormous effort to reach for 85,000 refugees coming out of Afghanistan following the chaotic exit that our country made, and to do DNA testing and try to reunite them with their families. It really was a heroic effort, and you deserve enormous praise. My question is about governance, both in the Palestinian Authority and in Israel. I don't think you've addressed this, but what are the chances that with Mahmoud Abbas's advanced age and the corruption of his government, and with Bibi Netanyahu's far-right coalition, that we might see a transition in both areas, and that might lead to a quicker resolution of certainly what many of us support, which is a path to two states?
Thank you very much. First, thank you for your kind words, and thank you for your questions. It's very important because today, when we are looking at the situation in Gaza, one of the main questions is the governance, how the governance will be identified, and how also for us, from an Arab perspective, how we make sure that Gaza will never be separated from the West Bank, and they will be always dealt with as one unit. And this is also when I was talking about the understanding of the parties, because of our understanding of the dynamics, whether it's on the Israeli side or on the Palestinian side, we came up with this formula together with our partners in Egypt to have this independent Palestinian committee as a temporary solution until the reforms of the PA taking place, and then bringing them together under one umbrella. These efforts are carried out in terms of reforming the PA, carried out by many countries in the region, but led by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And it's been progressing, and we are working very closely with them. I think that the Saudi-French plan that been announced during the United Nations General Assembly put clear milestones for the reformation that the Palestinian Authority needs to do. And I hope that this will follow course. And even within President Trump's 20 points plan, we have that the governance will be, the governance of Gaza will be temporary until the PA reforms and become ready to resume their role and to assume their role in the Gaza Strip.
Okay, can I follow up on that real quick and ask, why doesn't Israel release Marwan Barghouti, somebody who Palestinians agree could be a force for change, a catalyst for change, somebody who is well regarded? They've released people who have much more longer prison sentences, much more, quote unquote, blood on their hands, as they say about Palestinian prisoners. But why would they not release somebody who can be a catalyst for the change that could herald in a new era of governance? And maybe just a quick follow-up on that as well is, why would Arab countries, Gulf countries, help rebuild Gaza or help rebuild the West Bank if Israel can come in every couple of years with impunity and bomb it and no accountability?
Well, you asked two important questions. First of all, regarding Marwan al-Barghouti and why they don't release him, I think this question needs to be asked for the Israeli government. But there are tens or maybe hundreds of Marwan al-Barghouti in the Israeli prisons that's been prosecuted and tortured and mistreated, and no one is talking about it. And we know, we had all the reports that's coming out of these prisons that some of them are being imprisoned without even trial, and they need to be released. But the Israelis, they have their own calculations and when it comes to the release. And for example, when the hostage deal was reaching to the finish line, I remember my conversation with Steve and Jared, both of them, they were telling me if the list will remain, this is an easy thing that we will finish it in 2 hours. I told them that you guys don't know the two parties. Actually, last time we spent days, like continuous, working 24/7 in order to get a consensus around the names of the prisoners who will be released. So Israel will never allow for like symbolic name to be released, or maybe this name has another like complications under him. And there are like plenty of humanitarian situations. Like there are some of the prisoners who spend maybe 40 years in the Israeli prison right now. Either they are stage 4 cancer, or they are blind, or they are not able. They are not able to walk, or they are not they are paralyzed, and yet they are still there in the prison and not allowing them to be released because of the symbolism of their names. I think this is something that needed to be addressed, and I think also Israel should be held accountable for what's happening on their prisons with the Palestinians. I don't know if any of you here watching the videos that what his minister Ben Gvir is doing for the prisoners over there is very inhumane and in a barbaric way. And I think that this should never be acceptable for anyone in our today's world. What's the second?
About bombing, why would Arab countries, Gulf countries, European countries?
Yeah. Well, this is also, another very important part. Look, from my perspective as state of Qatar, I'm telling you, we took this commitment on ourselves since October 7th to bring everybody back home from the Israeli side and to end the war in Gaza. And that was our focus, that was our mission. We focused on that and making sure throughout the process that even when we reach the destination, there is a smooth transition. And smooth transition means that this transition needs to be safeguarded in order for us to make sure that our money will not be also wasted in another war. That means that Israel should stop provocation for the Palestinians, and the Palestinians, Hamas namely, and the other factions, needs to stop also intimidating and threatening the Israelis and shooting missiles on them. I think once we reach the formula of the confidence-building measure between the two parties, and making sure that this will not be repeated again, and making sure that the U.S. also stay focused on that, and with what I'm seeing right now and what I'm experiencing with the current administration, with both Steve and Jared, and also Admiral Cooper from the CENTCOM, we've seen them they are heavily involved and committed to the process, making sure that it's holding up. And we are working together with them closely on a day-to-day basis. And we told them that for us, we did our part, but we will always remain there helping you and supporting all the efforts of the reconstruction, of moving on to the next stage, and hopefully to get for the Palestinian the statehood at the end.
This gentleman right here has his hand up.
Thank you very much. Joe Gasparo, Royal Bank of Canada. Your Excellency, thank you again for being here. You launched Enterprise Qatar, a really great initiative to develop startups and small and medium-sized businesses in your country. We'd love to get your sentiment on the current entrepreneurial ecosystem and kind of mindset in your country. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I didn't expect that question, but thank you very much, actually. You made my day. Because whenever I'm on a stage, everyone is interested about conflicts and wars, not about those positive stuff. But yes, that's right, actually. I was honored back in 2009 to establish what's called Enterprise Qatar, and to look at the ways how to enhance small and medium enterprises and making them a vital part of our economy. course, since that time until today, there are a lot of changes has happened, and we have seen the contribution and the growth in the small and medium enterprises sector in Qatar is growing in a significant way. And we have seen that even if you look at our growth reports in the last year, it's all led by non-hydrocarbon sectors, and mainly most of them are small and medium enterprises. Now we are trying to also to make sure that we are taking them throughout the journey and taking them from being small and medium to internationalize them and creating them as national champions for us, as other national champions that we have created as government. And this we are now, right now in the process of developing some instruments within the government that brings those companies to the next level. At the end of the day, Qatar is a small country with a small population. We have a small market, but when we look at ourselves, we don't look at only inside and how to serve our market. We are surrounded with like almost, you know, I don't know, India population, how big it is, but like I calculate just, you know, the adjacent countries, we are around 600 million. When you look at, you know, Iran and Pakistan and all the other countries without India, with India probably 2 billion. And it's all within a radius of 3 to 4 hours flights, or the shipping in a very short, small number of days. So this is something that we want to capitalize on, and we want to bring our companies to help them to serve those markets.
This lady right here. One second. Take the microphone, please.
Yes. Sorry. Hi. Thought I was so loud. Hi, Naima Raza here, journalist and podcaster. One country that I don't have a question about Qatari economic development, unfortunately, but I was going to ask you about Iran, a country that actually hasn't been mentioned for the last hour or so. Obviously, before the September 5th attack, there was the Iranian attack on a U.S. base in Qatar. I'm curious why it hasn't come up. Do you think the Iranians are less relevant now since U.S. strikes, or are they not playing a critical role in the region going forward from your perspective?
I didn't get the question.
The question is about Iran.
Yeah, about
and what role they play in the future of the region.
The future of the region.
And why it hasn't really come up in the last hour. Are they less relevant? There's a theory out there.
No. So
I'm responsible for the question.
No. I mean, from all of us.
So that bias is on me, but
look, first of all, just very brief geography lesson. Qatar is like almost 150 miles away from Iran coast, so it's nothing. Iran is my neighbor. I share with them the largest gas field in the world, and I own the majority of this gas field. For me, the stability of Iran is key. It's not a luxury that I'm just looking for. It's a necessity. For me, it's very important that Iran to be stable. And to be stable, we need to think about it in a diplomatic way, how we reach a solution through diplomacy, while we ensure that our region is a nuclear-free region. There is no nuclear race, and Iran has the right to develop their peaceful nuclear program for power generation or whatever within the international law. And it's concerning for us to see, sometimes and to hear this rhetoric that's coming out from Israel or from Iran on the escalation. And we are trying to engage with the U.S. and with the Iranians to make sure that the talks come back on track between the two countries, because I believe once we have the talks started between Iran and the U.S. in a serious way, we can achieve an agreement, we can achieve a deal that will be better for everyone, for us in the region, for Iran and for the United States.
Yep. Sorry, we've run out of time, and I know the Prime Minister has a very busy schedule. Your Excellency, thank you so much. I just want to remind everyone this will be online. The transcript and recording will be online for anyone to want to access. Thank you so much.